Forsberg, Darling. Forsberg, Darling. I just want both to win. Is that too much to ask?
Yeah. Woohoo! Is this now? We are in a snow week. Yeah. You can't get any better.
Hello, welcome to Hawks Recap. Game 17 in the books, and the Hawks win in Carolina by a score of 4-3 in overtime over the Carolina Hurricanes, essentially the officially unofficial Blackhawks East. It was great seeing all the former Blackhawks on the ice, albeit for the wrong red and black sweaters. Tavo, Nordstrom, TVR, Kruger, but especially Chicago native, former backup tender Scotty Darling getting his big break in Carolina. You kind of wish they'd all do well in this game, but not too well. This was a game the Hawks desperately needed, especially after losing the last two games and being in a bit of a slump in the early going of this season. Forsberg in net, and although he's played well 2 of the 3 starts he's had so far this season, we haven't been able to get him a win. This was a game that we knew if we're going to get the win, especially with Forsberg in net, the offense needed to break out of their slump and get some goals past Darling. Unfortunately, for the second straight game, the Hawks come out in the first period flat and get themselves in a hole. And we could see it right away off the opening draw. The Hawks win it, get it back to their defensemen, but there's 2 turnovers right away there in our defensive zone, creates chances and sustained pressure for the Canes, and they get some great shots. They don't score, but that really set the tone for the early part in this game and for what was to come. A little less than 7 minutes into the first period, Canes win an offensive zone draw, throw the puck on net. It kind of hits off some players, takes some weird bounces, but McGinn is able to slot it past Forsberg, and the Canes go up early 1-0. There wasn't really a whole lot Forsberg could do about that one. There's just some weird bounces, some bad puck luck. You'd like the save, but it's tough to really blame him for that. But it is the second straight game where the Hawks give up a goal where the other team wins an offensive zone cleanly and then is able to execute some sort of play off that and score right away. And once again, the Hawks not starting off well and getting themselves in a hole. About 2 minutes after that, Canes with the puck on the rush. They throw the puck at Forsberg from the point. Big rebound from Forsberg. He had a couple of big rebounds in this game. Not really that clean, but as a backup goaltender, you can't really expect Corey Crawford levels of puck control. Scrambling around a little bit, gets knocked over, kind of loses his place in the crease, slides way over to the left. Skinner is able to put a puck past them from the sideboards, and the Canes go up 2-0, not even halfway through this first period. And that was definitely a goal that Forsberg cannot give up. He's got to stop that one. And with that, it's a little worrisome because this might be the second straight start by Forsberg that we're going to have to pull him and put Crawford in, although this is supposed to be a rest day for Crawford with the second game of a back-to-back the next day. So not something we really want to do, but it's not really looking all that great at this moment. Both teams had a power play in that first period, but both teams' power plays looked absolutely dreadful. In fact, the Hawks had probably their best scoring chances while being shorthanded. Brandon Saad with a breakaway there ends up getting slashed on the hand, so he gets a penalty shot. Darling, though, says nay after Saad tries to go upstairs on him, and that kind of sets up what we end up seeing in overtime, some foreshadowing there. The first period ends, and the Canes have a 2-0 lead. And the Hawks, once again, find themselves, as Alice in Chains would say, down in a hole. So the second period begins and the Hawks start playing a bit better, start controlling some play. They also got some help from the Hurricanes, who committed 3 penalties in that frame. And even though the Hawks don't necessarily have a great power play, obviously, it's still tough for a team to really get their own groove going if they're constantly killing penalties. And the Hawks actually take advantage of one of their power plays. The second power play in the second period for the Hawks, all thanks to a Marcus Kruger tripping call, got the Hawks some momentum here. They actually had some really great sustained offensive zone time and got a lot of good looks and chances, and just, I don't know how they didn't score a couple times on that power play. Just as the power play ends, Panik gets a great stretch pass right at the center ice area, throws it over to Taves, who's rushing wide, who then finds a hard-breaking DeBrincat on the back post, who's just able to tap it in, and the Hawks get some momentum and cut the deficit to 1 goal. Unfortunately, 2 minutes after that, the Hawks' momentum is basically squashed after McGinn receives a long Hail Mary pass up and over Keith's head, as McGinn then takes it in and roofs a perfect backhand shot up over Forsberg's shoulder and restores the Hurricanes' 2-goal lead in this one. Oh my God, just not a goal you can give up there. It's tough to say Forsberg should have stopped that because it was a perfectly placed backhand shot. I mean, it basically hit 2 posts going in. But Keith had McGinn's forehand basically nullified, so McGinn had to go backhand. So you'd hope Forsberg would cheat. And in that situation, after cutting the deficit to 1, just giving up the goal there, just devastating, really, and could have easily been the end of the Hawks in this one. So the Hawks, even though they played much better in the second period, they still find themselves down by 2 goals at intermission. Third period now, and about 3 minutes in, DeBrincat comes to the rescue. Actually, Carroll gets it all started off with a nice forecheck. He is in place of Hayden, who is a healthy scratch for tonight's lineup. Not really because of his lack of play or performance for Hayden, but probably mostly because, well, he's a first-year player and it's 82-game season. You kind of want to keep guys fresh, especially a guy like Hayden who plays pretty physical, hard-nosed game. You want to keep him fresh, especially with a back-to-back weekend here. He'll probably be back in the lineup, I think, for this next game. But Carroll hasn't played in 3 weeks, so it's nice to get him back into the lineup and see some game action. And like I said, he gets this started off, gets a pass over to Kane, who then sets up DeBrincat, who snipes it past Darling, top shelf, and cuts the lead down to 1 again. DeBrincat was really good in this one, 2 goals, and had some chances, some really good looks, almost had a Hattie in this one. Both teams kind of back and forth in this third period, both teams having great chances and opportunities. Hawks really kind of struggled in this game, and it was apparent at a lot of times in this third period that they just had trouble getting the puck out of their zone cleanly, and it led to some really good chances for the Hurricanes. Thankfully, Forsberg was up to the task, and after giving up 3 goals in the first 2 periods, he really shut it down nicely in the third, although it wasn't really all that clean. He still didn't let any through, so that was a big credit to him. Less than 9 minutes left in this game, and the Hawks find a way to tie this one up. Forsling takes a shot from the point, and Darling never sees it. Tie game 3-3, and this was the type of goal that I've been wanting to see all season. The Hawks are notorious for having their defensemen shoot from the point, but for most of the season, we've just struggled with preventing the goaltenders from seeing the puck all the way. We haven't really gotten traffic in front or any screens, but this one we had like 3 guys right in front of Darling or in that area, and Darling just never saw it. Bunch of traffic, and it was beautiful. I loved it. The rest of the third period would be void of goals, and this one would go into overtime. And at this point, that was a really big win for the Hawks. After going down early for the second straight game, they find a way to claw back into this one and tie this one up in the third and force overtime and guarantee themselves at least 1 point. That was big in itself. The Hurricanes would have 2 shots in this overtime session. The Hawks would only have 1, but 1 was all they needed. Minute 44 into this overtime, DeBrincat carries the puck in, draws 2 defenders with him, drops a pass to Saad, who is all alone on the left side with Darling. And if you remember back to the first period when Saad had his penalty shot, he tried going upstairs, got denied by Darling. This time, he goes 5-hole, squeaks it through and in, and the Hawks get a big come-from-behind 4-3 overtime victory. And you could just see in the emotion on Saad's face after he scored while he's celebrating, that meant a lot. This team really needed this victory. Up next for the Hawks, they come back home to finish off the back end of their back-to-back against a young and fast New Jersey Devils team. Gonna be a really strong test for the Hawks, but we have Crawford in net and a big win on our hands. Let me know, do you think this is the type of victory, a type of overtime comeback win that will spark something for the Hawks, maybe get them back on track, some offensive production? Let me know in the comments below what you think this win might mean for the Hawks going forward here. And with that said, thank you so much for watching this episode of Hawks Recap. I really hope you enjoyed it, especially with the result of this game. Let me know your thoughts on the game and the team's performance down in the comments section below. Also, like, share, subscribe if you'd like to. I really appreciate it if you do. But most importantly, stay safe, make good decisions, and I'll see you again real soon here.